4chan/r 2007. Someone posts on /r, I wonder where the apples are. Because I really do like apples, and I don't like eating them. Someone replies to Anon number 5301502, I like apples. What are apples? Another Anon says, apples are for cheese. The cheese Anon. People say, hey, it's cheese Anon. It's cheese Anon. Why? Because he goes all over the place calling stuff cheese. He goes up to a forum, a post. He does this all over the fucking internet, right? His name is Chesus. That Chesus, right? Most sites, his name is Chesus. Remember, this is back in 2007, right? So Chesus, to this day, is still going around the internet calling stuff cheese, right? Yep. Chesus, right? So Chesus enters the conversation and starts telling apples are cheese. And he makes a statement. If I can prove to you that apples are cheese in 200 pages, I win. And they say, all right, Chesus, you're on. Why is an apple cheese? And Chesus says, because apples taste like cheese. And another Anon says, but they don't taste like cheese. And Chesus says, but they taste like cheese to me. And one Anon says, wait the fuck, man? Apples are cheese to you, right? And Chesus says, nope. Apples are already cheese to me. I want apples to be cheese to everyone. Anyway. Sorry. So apples are cheese, right? Sorry. Chesus, right? He's still in the forum. 10 pages later, he says, all right, boys, I've conclusively proven that apples are cheese, right? And Chesus too, right? Chesus' rival. He always argues that Chesus' cheese products are not actually cheese. And so all the Anons step aside and say, oh boy, it's Chesus and Chesus 1 again this time. Who's on Team Chesus? Who's on Team Chesus 1? And Chesus says to Chesus 1, apples must be cheese because cheese is delicious. And anything that is delicious is an apple, and apples are cheese. And Chesus 1 says, no, apples cannot be cheese because apples do not come from milk. And Chesus says, well, can I make apples come from milk? What kind of milk are you talking about, Chesus? And Chesus says, that kind of milk. Duh, says Chesus 1, cow milk. So Chesus says, all right, I have an apple tree in my backyard. I will pour milk onto that apple tree, and if the apples taste better, they are made of cheese. And he sends a picture. He posts a picture of himself pouring milk, expired milk actually. He showed the expiration date, on an apple tree. 3 years later, Chesus is on another forum arguing that cheese is cheese. Actually, this time he's arguing that Gouda cheese is feta cheese. It's a weird one. I think this is an entire cheese / I don't know. So Chesus comes and one guy asks him, hey, I saw that argument between you and Chesus 1 a while ago. You poured that milk all over that apple tree. Did it taste any better? And Chesus says, nah, it didn't taste any better. And he says, why? Because cheese is cheese, right? And apples are already cheese. And if they had tasted better because I poured milk all over the tree, they wouldn't be cheese. It would be apples that tasted like cheese. And Chesus 1 pops up again. And he says, oh boy, here we go again. All right, Anons, stepped up to the plate. Who's going to win this one? Chesus won the last one, didn't he? Chesus did? What do you mean Chesus won? No, Chesus did. Chesus won. Chesus, exclamation point. Anyways, a couple pages of argument about that. And then Chesus says to Chesus 1, I tasted that apple, and it tasted like cheese, meaning that there is a phenomena where if you put milk on the roots of an apple tree, that apple will taste a little bit like milk, and I shit you not, that is an actual phenomena. If you dump milk onto the roots of your apple tree, especially expired milk, 4 years later, approximately, you will get apples that taste of milk. I swear to you that's exactly what happens. Anyway, so Chesus and Chesus 1, they're having a conversation about how apples and cheese are related. And then Chesus says, wait, apples aren't cheese. Cheese is apples. And Chesus 1 says, brilliant, Chesus, brilliant. My turn, he says in his head as he's writing this. All right, Chesus, apples are not, apples, no. Cheese is apples, apples is cheese. And Chesus says, no. Apples are not cheese. Nothing is cheese except cheese. And Chesus 1 says to Chesus, All right, sure, let's fight it out. Most people are voting for Jesus 1 at this point. Vote, 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 vote. And Jesus says, Jesus 1, all right, man, let's step up to the plate again. I'll play devil's advocate here. Same conversation, obviously. Why does cheese look like cheese? Why does cheese look like cheese? And Jesus 1 says, cheese looks like cheese because Jesus invented it. And Jesus says to Jesus 1, I did invent cheese, didn't I? And Jesus 1 says, why don't you go eat some cheese, Jesus? And Jesus said, I'd never eaten cheese before in my entire life. And Jesus 1 says, why? Because I'm lactose intolerant. And the forum goes, you're both lactose intolerant? And Jesus 1 says, no, I'm not lactose intolerant. Jesus is lactose intolerant. And so Jesus and Jesus 1 have an argument about lactose intolerance in which they conclude that lactose does not belong in cheese even though it's there. So Jesus 1 says to Jesus, all right, Jesus, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Cheese is cheese, but it is not cheese at the same time because cheese is also cheese. And Jesus says, you goddamn right about cheese. And Jesus 1 says to Jesus, you know what? Let's make a truce. I like eating cheese. I hate eating cheese. We're good. About a year later, Jesus and Jesus 1 are having another argument on RB, on the B, yep, that one, about whether or not Gouda cheese should have wax around it. And they say, Jesus 1 says, look, okay, Gouda must have wax around it as a shell. Why? Says Jesus, because you eat that wax. And Jesus says, no, you do not eat cheese wax. Jesus 1 says, yes, you must eat cheese wax. Cheese wax is one of the add-ons. I work in a factory that produces cheese wax. Go Jesus and Jesus 1. Gasp, gasp. Let me work at cheese plant where Gouda shell is made. And he tells a whole story about how, this is 2011, right? Totally 2011. He works in a shop, or at a factory that produces Gouda cheese, and they really do have an argument going on in the entire Gouda cheese community about whether Gouda should have wax, paper, or nothing. And the green text is like several pages long. I don't want to recite the whole thing. Okay, so at the end of the green text, Jesus says, wait, what if we put paper underneath the wax with the cheese still being raw? And Jesus 1 says, brilliant, Jesus. You are absolutely brilliant. And Jesus says to Jesus 1, let's do another. Gouda dude. Gouda dude. His name is now officially Gouda dude. Even though it's, obviously it's, and why do we know they're Jesus? Obviously. Jesus 1. Jesus 1. Jesus. You get that, right? Anyway. That's the whole funny part, right? Most 4chaners believe Jesus and Jesus 1 are the same person, and I do believe that is true. Anyways, he's fucking playing a car cat, right? Anyway, so Jesus and Jesus 1 start arguing about whether or not you should put the paper underneath the wax, or paper on top of the wax, or no paper, no wax, just paper, just wax, raw cheese, right? And someone asks, why is Gouda raw? What is Gouda? And Jesus 1 says, Gouda, Jesus 1. Obviously, he signs all of his posts with either Jesus or Jesus 1, right? So Jesus 1, again, starts arguing with Jesus about whether or not Gouda should have wrapping on it, actually. And Gouda, right? They kill it. Feta cannot have wrapping on it. Bargo cannot have wrapping on it. Those little cheese wheels definitely must have wax on them, right? And they argue for hours about whether or not Gouda should have wax on it. And finally, another person who works at a factory that produces Gouda wax specifically says, we sell a lot of Gouda wax down in Italy. That's the end of the story.